welcome to Worth the War. My name is Kimmy. The purpose of this channel is to prepare people to love well and to avoid abuse. If you think we can do a better job with love and relationship than we're doing now, then you found the exact right place. This video is going to be about learning how to avoid abuse, and to do it by learning how to love well. If we learn how to love healthy, we're going to be able to identify what abuse looks like and stop it before it takes a huge toll on our lives. The Worth the War community is growing. We're on so many social media outlets where our numbers are starting to grow, and we're seeing that there are certain things that tie us in common, regardless of the stage of life we're in, what kind of worldview we have, or even what some of our experiences are. There are certain things that tie this community together. One of them is we believe that we need to be more intentional and protective about how we prepare people to enter out into the dating and love relationship area. We also believe that there's too much abuse, intimate partner violence, trafficking, that is creating an environment where predators are taking advantage of too many hearts that aren't ready to fight them off. We also believe that whether you're healing from a wounded relationship or you're preparing your children to go out into dating relationship, that essentially each one of us deserves a better grounding on what it is that we want and what it is we believe about love and relationship. Today's video is very foundational. It's one of our core beliefs, is that we can actually prevent and keep people out of abusive situations by giving them a grounded ability to understand what love and relationship really are. I'm really excited about this video. I think it's going to be packed with some really important information, so let's get right into it. If we're going to talk about learning how to avoid abuse, we've got to start with something that's very obvious, but sadly not everybody's fully tuned into the fact that there are great resources on what the red flags of abuse are. I'll put some down below in the notes. If you have any questions, feel free to down in the comments, let me know. I can turn you on to some really good resources for it. But bottom line, every single human being, whether they're 15 or 85, that's entering into the dating relationship arena, and quite frankly, even any kinds of relationship, work relationship, neighbors, you name it, it's important to understand what the red flags of abuse are. For a long time, we really only equated abuse with black eyes. Abuse can happen in many forms, and if we don't get ourselves educated on it, we're not going to recognize it when it comes. And there are certain hallmarks that are extremely easy to pick up. Once you understand what the red flags of abuse are, you also have to understand that there's a cycle to the abuse. Most times, things start really wonderfully. Everything looks perfect. This person seems to be perfectly suited to you. This neighbor seems absolutely amiable. The cycle of abuse is very important to have in your hands so that you can identify when things start to change. And if you find yourself on this treadmill of trying to fix things, things get better, they're back to the wonderful way they were in the beginning, and then you're back into the battle again, you're in the middle of a cycle of abuse. So you have to understand what the red flags are and what the cycles are. Those things will maybe take you a half an hour to look at and to think about. You'll be able to start seeing in other relationships where little threads of this have come in, or you've heard about it through friends that have endured abuse. Bottom line, these two things may be very simple and very elementary, but if those aren't something that are in your wheelhouse, in your tool belt, send me a comment and I will make sure that you have lots of options of ways that you can learn those things. If you don't have that, you probably shouldn't think about going online, spending any time with anybody or anything else until you have a really good understanding of what those two things are. Red flags of abuse and the cycle of abuse. Going along with the same subject, down below I actually noted one of my videos on the weapons against manipulation. One of the things that people don't identify as abuse, or that we can actually just have people in our lives that consistently are pushing us and molding us into a direction that they want us to go. It's a really important thing to be able to identify that, to be able to stop that as it happens. So you'll see those down in the notes below as well. Culturally speaking, we are increasing and getting better about educating people about what abuse looks like, how to identify it, how to be able to see it in certain individuals or cycles. The one thing I believe we are still missing is this idea that teaching someone intentionally what a healthy love and relationship looks like and lives like is actually just as protective. If we have a really good, solid understanding of what love actually is, how to act it out, what it feels like, what it looks like, we're going to be much less likely to be taken in by anything that's less than that. So let's move forward to what I think is the meat of the Worth the War foundation, which is how do we intentionally get into the hands of people who want to enter into healthy love and relationship, ideas of what healthy relationships really even are. The first thing we have to make sure that every person ready for love understands is that love is not simply a feeling. There are feelings attached to what love is, but ultimately love is a decision and a choice. And that puts the power back in the hand of the lover to say, I will either choose to share it or I will not. And it allows us time to think about about the character of the person that we're considering sharing our love with. The second thing that people don't really realize about love is that it's actually a muscle. The more that we do it, the better we get at it. The more that we sit back and wonder what we're going to get out of it, the more weak our muscle becomes. Eventually, if you really work out this muscle of loving someone, being something other than just a need-meeting machine to each other, you will actually find that loving someone becomes the goal and not getting something from them. The third thing that we can learn is that we need to allow room for humanity, give grace to somebody, but don't let that space be a place where abuse can grow. When we understand what abuse actually is, then it's a manipulation and an aggressive desire to get what we want, to get compliance out of someone. When we understand these kinds of things, we then understand that giving grace to someone, allowing for humanity, is very different than allowing for abuse. We need to have no tolerance for abuse and a lot of tolerance for just being human. And I just want to add just a little mental note. If you're thinking, I didn't have healthy love modeled for me when I was a kid, so I'm just totally screwed, or I'm not going to be able to give that to my child because I don't have a healthy marriage to model for them, I have really good news for you. Love is love. The way that we love other people in our lives still speaks to the kind of love that you have with an intimate partner. Obviously, there's other aspects to that relationship that you're not modeling for them, but you are modeling what love is. And if you fully understand what love is, what it looks like, what it pours out, what it really is, they will be able to identify when something other than that enters the room. So the idea is to understand the authentic so that the fake will absolutely shine and you will be able to identify and eradicate it quickly. If you've ever seen a sci-fi movie, odds are good you've seen a force field, this kind of round globe that goes around whatever they're trying to protect. Here at Worth the War, I believe that a healthy love and relationship is that force field. We can teach people and put in their hands extremely important information about what the red flags of abuse are, to understand the cycles of abuse so they can begin to actually identify if they're in one. But what we can't do with all of that great information is to put into their hands the knowledge that they get to decide who they love, how they love. They don't have something magical that happens to them and they have to put up with whatever they have to put up with to have it. And that's a lot of the messages that we get today. We get to decide who to love, how to love them. We can decide that people aren't ready for our love or even worthy of our love. We don't hear that message enough. And that kind of healthy power that comes with love is also what allows us to enter into a like-minded relationship with someone who understands that love is actually about pouring out and it's not about what we get out of it. And the minute we take that paradigm shift, we're protected from abuse because we won't put up with anything less. And we actually can build relationships that will last for decades, not for months. And at the end of all of it, we will be healthier, more whole human beings. So I hope that something here will resonate, that you agree and you want to join our community and you'll press the subscribe button and you'll help us to fight for healthy love and relationship because we believe deep down that's going to be the answer to so many other problems that we see around us. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I know there's lots of places you could be and it means an awful lot. Please join us. Have a great rest of your day.